Welcome to Meldrum Bay, Manitoulin Island. We're here once again on our quest for the world's greatest beef. And we think we found something absolutely incredibly special right here in our own backyard. Now, Manitoulin Island is something absolutely sensational in Ontario that's just unadulterated. There are species of birds and flowers and all kinds of bears and deers that we've seen in the last 2 days that we just never see in southwestern Ontario. The operation that we're here to see is called Pure Island Beef, and what makes them special is the fact that they've been able to consistently show us that they can produce really great beef year-round, time and time again. And so this we had to see, especially with a seasonal climate like Ontario, how are they producing forage-fed beef that well? Birgit is a grass specialist. She's gone to school in agriculture just to study grass. And the fields that she's working with here are unadulterated. She's working with a lot of native species, but they've also added a lot of species of grass to those fields to make the fields more like rocket fuel. They've also figured out when exactly to cut those grasses to produce the optimum heylage that has the best nutrition and great probiotics for the livestock, so that they can feed that nutritional source to them year-round. Jim has got an extremely keen eye for livestock, and we've seen that just with the way that he works with them. He's able to pick out the ones that are best for grass-fed, grass feeding, and he works with those ones specifically. And so with his selection of Angus and Shorthorn, he's really trying to pick out the best of those breeds and make sure that they're the ones on pasture and they're the ones that are coming to our store. So we're really excited for you to be able to see what we're seeing here in Manitoulin Island, and then to come check out what we've got in our store.
I'm Jim Martin. My wife Birgit and I started Pure Island Grass-Fed Beef, and this is where we call home.
Well, we met at the University of Guelph.
No alcohol included. Both of us had an interest in beef production, both with a farm background, and I had beef cattle when I was a very young age, and we just wanted to expand on that lifestyle and career.
We chose grass-fed beef because we knew it was a healthier alternative to grain-fed beef, and so we first got into it in 2008 and have slowly expanded ever since, and people seem to really appreciate it.
We live in an area where forage grows well, so we just capitalize on what's doing the best.
Grass-fed beef in general is healthier than grain-fed beef because of the change in the fatty acid content of the beef. When cattle are fed forages, which is their natural diet, they produce meat that's higher, or the fats are higher in omega-3 fatty acids, and that is a healthier beef. There are reports too that the conjugated linoleic acid is higher, and some other fatty acids. So in general, the fat profile is healthier in grass-fed beef.
Welcome here, Dave, and I'm delighted to have you here. We're standing in a pasture that's well, we're in the middle of getting towards the middle of September. We've been grazing this since late May, and it's probably been about 3 weeks or so since the cattle were on the grass.
So this is 3 weeks growth that we're standing here right now.
Yes, it wasn't eaten off close before. That's one of the secrets of getting the most out of the pasture, is to not have the cattle eat it off too much at the beginning, so that there's a good strong root system to grow back. We've had a great grazing season. We've had timely rains and lots of rain, so there's lots of growth here. Other years we might not see this kind of growth at this time of the year, but if you look closely, you can see there's grass here, clover. That's one of the high protein plants that makes pasture especially nutritious. This is bird's foot trefoil. It gets its name because when it sets seeds, the seed pods look like a bird's foot. This is especially long-lived in the pasture, and it's one of the reasons why the cattle do so well on this grass. Besides being lush, there are plants here that can deliver the kind of protein they need to grow. So it's not just grass, it's the protein and nutrient content as well.
Manitoulin Island, we think, is a great fit for this type of beef production. It's quite frankly, it's been growing great forages for over 100 years. It has had a strong, constant beef herd in numbers for over 100 years, and we think that the climate, the frost-free days, soil type, pH, drainage just makes ideal situation for growing grass, and because of our distance to markets, it's not really suited for grain production. It's best for the best economic return is if beef's leaving refrigerated as compared to sending feedstuffs off island. We grow probably over 1,000 acres of forage, most of it natural, but we certainly do seed some of the forage. We probably have about 300 acres that is seeded, managed hay and forage. We use that, a lot of that is our winter feed or our finishing ration in the winter for these young cattle. But we do have a lot of native pasture that requires just some basic fencing and management that we use for our beef production.
And this field is an example of the managed stands of forage. This is an alfalfa mix field, and this is regrowth after the second cut of silage has been taken. The quality of this feed is outstanding. It's all in the timing. It's in terms of when it's cut. It's all in the ensiling process to make sure that it gets wrapped as quickly as possible to exclude the oxygen. And then the quality of the feed is virtually as good as the animal being on grass. And that is just, we have to do that because we have to feed them all winter long on some sort of conserved feed.
To make our beef better, we are genetically testing some of our sires for tenderness testing using a genomic test. We're also doing some ultrasound testing on some of these bulls for ribeye size and a marbling score, so that we can ensure customers are getting a product that is the highest probability of being a quality product, instead of just hoping that it turns out to be good quality.
And we're also pretty selective about the cattle that we finish on forage. Not all cattle will finish on forage, and we know that it's important to have a certain fat content, fat cover on the carcass, excuse me, so that the animal can hang in a cooler and age for some time. And so we know amongst our cattle there are some that will just never finish properly on grass, and they're not included in the program. We'll do other things with them, but they're not included in the grass program. So we only save the best animals for the program, and we start, obviously, as Jim said, by trying to select the ones that are genetically predisposed to being better for grass finishing. We work with the natural environment in terms of the pastures, so in a lot of cases, and particularly on Manitoulin, there are a lot of ranch-style pastures, rough pastures, where it's large acreages, but it is the natural environment. We have what are also called improved pastures, where there has been some seeding done. Again, like this, a field like this could be grazed instead of mechanically harvested, and that's quite often what we do in the fall. Is we don't take another harvest; we'll actually put the cattle out in it. But for the most part, we try to work with the environment. Each field is different. You can't force a field to be what it's not. If it only has a few inches of topsoil, it's going to be a natural pasture. We're not even going to try to farm that in terms of arable cropping.